Hey there, and welcome to Introduction to Spreadsheets. And I'm going to get you to start off, first of all, with opening up Google Chrome. And you probably see a beginning page. It looks an awful lot like this. If you don't have this, then go Command T on your Mac or Control T. Actually, all the options I'm going to be talking about will be on the Mac. Alright, so then what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to go to your Google Drive. There's a whole bunch of ways you can go there. The most likely the easiest way, see this guy right here, the Google Apps? If you click on Drive, then it's going to take you to this page right here. Excellent. Okay, now what I want to do is I actually want to show you a couple of spreadsheets. Spreadsheets can be used for all sorts of things. First of all, what you'll see is they're used for money and adding up a whole lot of different columns of money. Here's my New York budget right here. And you'll see I've got all the different things that we pay for in New York and chaperones and airfare and everything like that. And you'll see that I have these columns that are down here. Columns of different payments we have to make and how much stuff costs. And you see right here I have a sum, a formula that takes all of the things in this column and adds them all up. And then what I can do is I can find out different things like average amounts and all sorts of things. And then I can also even take in other things like here's instructors' expenses and here's all sorts of different individual things like the Empire State Building and stuff like that. I've got an extra total that's over here of all of the extra things that we do in New York and how much it costs us. Here's our total in US dollars, and then I can add that in on some of these different things. Entrance to sites, right here. I guess it was the Canadian one that I have. Right? So you can see it can be extremely useful. It can be doing all sorts of stuff for you, adding up all sorts of totals and finding out different things, finding out if you can afford stuff. Here is the spreadsheet where we keep track of all of the grad photos. So down this side right here, we have all of the dates when the studios are open, and we have all of the different grads and what photographers are going to be shooting them, who's their assistant, and everything like that. So that way we always can see whether or not a studio is booked or whatever. And I can even have it set up so that when something isn't there, it automatically turns neon so that we can say, oh, hey, you know, we need to get somebody in order to help out. You can see right here, for instance, Damon doesn't have an assistant, so it turns neon in this particular case. So you can have all sorts of extra things. It doesn't have to be money. You can have spreadsheets that also help keep things organized. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to My Drive, where you are here, and see where it says New. I want you to click on New, scroll on down, and you'll notice under Google Sheets, see this little arrow right here? I want you to select Blank Spreadsheet. And it opens up a brand new spreadsheet for you. And what we're going to do is we're going to add in, first of all, we're going to add in a title. And the title is right up here in the top left. I want you to click up here and I want you to say Spreadsheet Lesson number 1 and hit return. Great. Okay, and that's given it its title. You will now notice that it is going to be saved into your Google Drive. And in actual fact, it'll be tossed right here onto the top. So we'll organize that later. Okay, so now what I want to point out is that spreadsheets are totally organized by columns and by rows. So going across here. So the name of this thing right here, this is a cell, and the name of this guy is A1. A1. Can you see that it's got, it's in column A, row 1. All right. That's pretty important because all of these columns and all these cells have their own name. All right, I want you to click in B2 at the moment, right here. I want you to add in B2. And what we're going to do is I want you to type the number 1 and hit return. You'll notice it goes down when it hits return, when you hit return. Then I want you to type the number 2. Awesome. So there we go. We got 1 and 2. And with your mouse, I want you to highlight 1 and 2. So you click in 1 here, the cell with 1, you drag it down to 2. So that way you've got this right here. The cell is set up in this way, and I want you to hover your mouse over top of this little box right here. See how the mouse changes when you do that? To this guy. Okay. And I want you to drag this down to the to B12 and let go. Okay, so we now have from 1 to 11. You notice how it automatically counted. And the reason why it counted is because it has 1 and 2 right here. You told it how you wanted it to count, and it automatically did it. Okay, so in actual fact, we went one too far. I want you to click on number 11 and hit the delete key up in the top right. Delete. So that way we only have from 1 to 10. And then what I'm going to do is I want you to click in cell C2. And I want you to type the word test and then number 1. Hit return and type test number 2. Alright, now highlight those two and again pull it all the way down to number 10 or to next to 10, and you'll notice, look at that. It has labeled all of these. Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? It's auto-filled it in. Pretty easy, pretty good. Does the counting for you. That's nice. Click in D2 for me right here. D2. Awesome. And what we want is we're going to actually say that this person is really boring. They have 70 in every single test. Okay, from test 1 to 10, they have 70. I want you to click in. So first of all, you hit return, so it goes down. Then I want you to click back on the 70 right here. Now hold down the Shift key. Shift key. And you're going to drag this little box down to test 10 and let go. And because you're holding down the Shift key, you'll notice that it has not done the autofill. It has just copied everything down. 70 all the way down. Let's clean this up a little bit here. Let's click, see here where it has column B. I want you to click on the letter B. Click on that. See how it's selected the entire column? And I want you to go over here to the alignment. If I hover over here, it says horizontal align. We're going to center it right there. Center it. Awesome. And over top of this 70, I want you to say the word Bob. These are Bob's marks. All right. Now I want you to click down in cell D13 right here, and you're going to type average right here, average. And then I want you to hit tab. Tab takes you to the right, one to the right. And what you're going to do is you're going to, now that you should be in cell E13. E13. Okay, we're going to now do a calculation that shows the average. Well, geez, these are all 70. The average should be 70. Okay, but first of all, we're going to do a formula that's going to do that. So I want you to hit the equal sign, and then I want you to type average. Now it's going to actually start to show you all the different things that are in here. And so you can actually click on the word average, even though you're not finished typing it. And you'll see that what you have is you've got a bracket. You can also type the word average and then put in a bracket. Now, it's waiting for us to put in all of the cells. And what we're going to do is we're going to go up here to D2 and drag down. See how it's changing? See how it's changing right here? So drag down to D11, and you'll notice there it's got from D2 colon D11, and you don't have to hit you don't have to make a close bracket. It automatically does it for you. If you hit return now, boom. Hey, look at that, an average of 70. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to highlight the word average right here, and I just want to show you that you can also change the font. So you can change the font size. We can make this bold by clicking on this, and I also want you to what are we going to do? We're going to make this yellow and change the font size again to 18. Awesome. So that way you can see, you can play around with some color and make things jump out for you. Okay, so now what I want you to do is I want you to go to test number 1, and let's say that Bob actually bombed test number 1. He got a 0. So let's change that. I want you to notice how much the average just dropped. Do you see that? You see how much that average just dropped right here? Okay? If pick another test. Just pick another test. Let's say test 6. He doesn't bother and doesn't show up to write it, and he gets a 0 on that. Boom. We've got an average that has just dropped to 56. He's getting close to failing. And test number 9, he also just doesn't bother writing it. Boom. He's now down to 49. I wanted to show you how very quickly some zeros can totally make your mark into a failing mark. So I think that's pretty important for you to notice. Now, let's make a chart out of this. I want you to click once on test 1 right here, and I want you to hold down the shift key and click in cell D11. That's this 70 right here. When you hold down the shift key, it picks everything in between. So that's really nice. So there's another thing you can do. You can click and drag on down here. That works as well. You do have to watch out that you don't accidentally click and then drag this cell somewhere. But if you do, don't worry, because you can always go to edit and say undo. It's Command Z, or it's this little back arrow right here. And that undoes something if you've made a mistake. Okay, so anyway, I got this guy highlighted right here. Awesome. Now, I want you to go to Insert and say Chart. And it automatically looks at the information that we have. We have a chart. Now, you may have something different than me right now because I've been playing around with this, and you probably haven't played with this before. So I want you to just kind of take a look at the chart that they have, that they've created for you. Under Chart Type, over here on the right-hand side, you should make sure that you've got column chart, a column chart. If it's not there, make sure that you scroll on down, you click on column chart right there. Okay, now you might need to play around with stacking or such. I've actually at the moment I've got none. Okay, so I'm going to keep it that way for the moment. And you'll notice that the x-axis, that's this guy along here, it's automatically grabbed the names and put it in here. Alright, as well as the idea that it took a guess and it said, you know, I think that you probably want these numbers put in here. Awesome. Alright, use column C as labels. It has that in there. That's kind of nice. Adding a series is just a whole other set of columns. We'll take a look at that later. Let's take a look at Customize. And we're going to open Chart Style. This is where you can play around with some of the different colors. You can add in some background colors if you want. Go ahead and do that. This is cool. You make it 3D. That makes it look a lot more professional. That's kind of neat. You can play around with the font if you wish to, although I kind of like this one. Alright, I'm going to close Chart Style. I want you now to open Chart and Axes Titles. The chart title right here, you can change. But at the moment, it's Bob versus. So we can say Bob's Marks in there. And you can play around with the fonts and all that kind of thing. You guys know how to do that. Let's close chart and title. Let's go to series. Here, if you've got a different set of data, you can say which one is there, whoops, and what the color is, all that kind of thing. If it's on the left or the right, etc. Okay? But right here, see where it says data labels? I want you to click on that and you'll see it tells us what each one is. I like that. Okay. All right, a whole bunch of other data label format, etc., etc. This is the number format. So, for instance, the fact that it just picked 70 right here, you could actually change that to percents. Now, but it changed it to 7,000% because it took the number 70. So I think we're going to put that back to source data. Okay, close this guy, which is series, and open up legend. All right. So this is basically just, this would add in a legend saying, okay, if it's, let's add in a little bit here, what the colors are. If you had different things in here, then you'd add in the colors. We're not going to do that. We're going to close legend. Take a look at the horizontal axis. That's this guy right here. You can change the fonts and all that kind of thing. The slant label, I like this. I said horizontal and I looked at the vertical, didn't I? So this is the horizontal along here. You can put these on an angle. That's kind of cool. If you want to, let's close horizontal, and this time we'll open the vertical. That is this right here. You can show the axes line. Please turn that on. You can change your minimum and maximum values. And you can change the number format, all sorts of things. Close the vertical axis. Open the grid lines and ticks. And this way you can say, yeah, you know what? Show me the major ticks in there. That's these little ticks right there, like that. And you can change the grid line color. The grid line are these guys going across here like that. And you can play around with all of that stuff. Makes it look like a pretty good graph, actually. Okay, so now what I'd like you to do is I would like you to submit this spreadsheet lesson number 1 into your Google Classroom as for the spreadsheet lesson number 1 assignment. Thank you very much.